So thanks everyone for joining in today. We're having a look at the fundraising aspect of the potentiality system. Kai, I know that you've seen what we're going to be showing today, so if you have any further questions or any further feedback from what you saw the other day, feel free to add it into the chat window. But basically what you're looking at now is pretty much a change in direction for the potentiality product that's been happening over the past 12 months or so. We've been very much turning the product into a fundraising tool, and what you're going to see is a lot of the advantages of having the fundraising aspect tied directly into a community system. The reason why there is some significant advantages there is that the other fundraising databases that you'll deal with really are just fundraising databases. They're used for charities and not-for-profits and all other sorts of associations, whereas the school community is a very different one to those types of associations, because the people who are making the donations actually want to be involved in the community as a whole. They want to speak to each other, they want to engage with each other, whereas when you're dealing with donations to a charity, people don't really care who else is donating to a charity. So the only statistics that you're going to be getting from normal fundraising databases are the fact that people have donated and how much they've donated and how frequently they've donated, and that is important information. But when you're dealing with a community, there's a lot more information that you can collect about people that returns back to you as when you're trying to target campaigns and target fundraising. So we're just going to have a look at the actual tracking and the storing of the data at the moment, and you can see that we're on the OHA, which is the Hold Haileyburyans Association site. Russell's kindly offered to allow us to show people this site. The main reason why we like showing people this site is that they're not dealing too much with fundraising. It's more the events that we're tracking here, and event payments aren't really, they're certainly not considered private information, because you know how much an event payment is, and so all we're essentially doing is identifying whether someone is attending an event or not. So this is the administrator summary panel. You should have all seen. This is the first page that you see when you log in. Obviously, we've got the basic statistics about monthly logins and monthly new users down the bottom here. Just have a quick look. You can see we've got the different statistics by year, by month, and by individual page. You can also go back the last 3 years in the interactive chart and really get a good feel for what people are looking at and what's driving traffic to the site. One of the tricks that you can do here is just change the way that these are being displayed, and I can just press play there, and you can just go through the history of the site and have a look at what different things are happening, what you're doing to drive traffic to the site, and it's quite an interesting way of getting a feel for, and you can really see that there's a lot more activity happening here on all the pages than there was when we go back to 2012. So Russell at Haileybury has obviously really increased the amount of traffic that's happening to all the pages across the entire site. So that's just some interesting statistics that you can get about what people are using the site for. But now we'll go through and have a look at the payments and donations tab. So this is the new stuff within the potentiality system. As I scroll through this transaction log, you can see that it's got every single payment that's been made to the system. You've got the individuals that are making the payments, so we can go through and have a look at the profiles of each of these people. And you've got the transaction ID, so I can have a look at the actual transaction. And within the transaction, you can see that the different things that they've actually made the payment for. So they made the payment for the primary item, and then they purchased for 2 additional people at the same time. Also on the right-hand side here, you've got generate receipt. So that actually, if I just click on that, that'll then you can see it says receipt sent, and that's just come through to me via email. And I'll just change the screen so that that you can see the email that's just come through, payment confirmation. So you can see there that's just regenerated the receipt that was sent out to that person. So it's and obviously those receipts are tailorable, so you can put in additional content, ABNs, whatever you need to do to make it meet your requirements of receipting. We've also got view the form data available there, so that is to have a look at what information they submitted when they made that payment. So this person came along and applied for the YOHA event, and if I click on View Form Data, you can see everything that was submitted when they made that transaction. So it's just a nice way to be able to reference absolutely everything to do with payments that have been made. And if that was a donation, for example, then you could have a look at all the information that was collected when the donation was made. Just to show you an example of a donation page, we can come through to one of our clients in the UK and just click on the Donate Now link, and there you can see you've got the donation information and any additional information. So this is an example of the type of information that you can collect on this page. So that's how donations are made through the website, and this is where the information is tracked. If we come down and have a look at the advanced search facility, you can see that any aspect about the transactions can be searched. So we've got the date from, date to, you can search for a specific user. The campaign, obviously, we've got built into the system different the ability to track different campaigns. You've got amount, transaction ID, description, payment method, so you can filter by payment type. You've got refund, merchandise, event, donation, subscription, and then the method, so you can filter by the different types of payments. So it's not just online credit cards that we're tracking here, it's any type of payment that we're tracking. And what I might do is we'll just jump to a to a payment for an event, so we can actually walk through the process of not only doing the online credit cards, but any type of bank of payment method that people might choose. So in order to do this, I'll just walk through the event integration with Facebook and show you how a regular user might go through and make a payment on the site. You can see here we've got a comment that was made on one of our event pages by our demo account, and it says looking forward to a great night. So I can then just go from Facebook and click on the graduation dinner link. That then takes me through to the public landing page for that particular event, which gives me basic information about the event. But I want to, I then identify myself as a community member, and it gives me all the information of the event, and then I can just click on register for this event. So this is one type of payment, but this could be merchandise, it could be a donation, any of those types of payments. So I'm just basically filling out my event details. I'm, coming to the event, I'm willing to be a table captain, or if I'm not willing to be a table captain, I can choose to be on a particular table. All the details of the event, I'm choosing to book for 3 other people. The total costs, this site is set up as a UK site at the moment, but obviously that alters depending on the system you're using. Then we can just click register. So that's me registering for an event, but then it takes me through to the payment page. So this is the same payment page that you'll see no matter what type of payment they're making. So it could be a donation, a subscription, merchandise, whatever it is, they're coming through to this centralized payment facility. Now, you as the administrator of the site can choose what type of payment you're going to allow on your system. So you could make it just that credit cards. And look, obviously credit cards are the easiest way for people to make payments on the site. You don't have to do anything as the administrator. They just make their payment, and everything happens automatically. It ticks them off as having paid in the event spreadsheet. It ticks them off as attending the event. Everything just happens behind the scenes automatically. They get a receipt automatically sent as well. Then you can see we've got pay by bank transfer. So you can enable this as an administrator by by allowing them to make this form of payment, also pay by check as well. So what basically happens is that what we're trying to do here is, even though with bank transfers and with checks there is a little bit of manual processing required by you as the administrator. I mean, if they send you a check, you have to open the letter and receive the check. But what we're trying to do is automate as much of it as we possibly can. And to show you how that works, you've got the amount to pay down the bottom here, and you've got your transaction ID, and then it says please use this ID whenever referencing this transaction. So all you have to do to enable this on your site is actually enter payment instructions in step 2. You can see here it says, please note, if no text is entered in the box above, this tab will not show to regular users. So at the moment, this tab isn't showing to regular users. So all you need to do as an administrator is just click on the edit button, and that just brings up our regular editing window, and then I can just type in my payment instructions for that particular type of payment. So that would be for paying by check, so you could give an address, please send checks to such and such an address, or for bank transfers, please transfer to these bank details. So the key here is that we're giving them a transaction ID and we're asking them to use that transaction ID. What that means is that when you come back to this administrator summary panel, and we'll go down to confirm existing transaction, all you have to do as an administrator when you receive that check is just put in the amount and put in the payment type. So if they sent you a check, and then you just put in the transaction ID that they sent along with it. Now, the system knows what that person was doing when they came to the site to make that payment, so the system can then just carry on and do everything automatically from this point in time. And what I mean by that is that if they were registering for an event, it ticks them off in the event spreadsheet. If if they need a receipt, then it sends them a receipt. It does everything automatically from this point, and all you've had to do is open the letter and type in the transaction ID. Even if they don't send you the transaction ID, then it's still quite simple, because we can search for non-confirmed transactions up here. So I could just untick that and put in the amount, and then that'll give me all the unconfirmed transactions for that amount. And depending on how many fit into that criteria, you can it should be pretty simple to find the transaction that you're after. So that's how you can use the system for collecting all sorts of types of payments. So, as I said, it's not just credit card. I mean, obviously, credit card is the easiest because you don't have to do anything, but we're trying to make it easier no matter what form of payment. You can see we've got here now add new transaction. So this is if you wanted to create a transaction from scratch. Someone could walk into your office and say that they're wanting to give a $50 donation, or they might ring you up and say they'd actually like to give a monthly donation of $50 or something like that. So let's use that as an example. We can just put in $50. The description is a donation. We can then search for the particular user that we're going to associate this payment with. So let's say it's David Piccone, the date. So if this was going to be a monthly donation, then we might want to start it, let's say, on the 1st of next month, and then we can select periodic. So it defaults to just one single payment, but we can change that to once a month, and then we can put in the number of payments. So we've just set up 2 years worth of payments for once every month. Then we have the type. So this is donation, but obviously we can add manually to the database any type of payment. These options down the bottom don't appear to regular administrators, because obviously that's for our administrative purposes only. But if we do a donation, as soon as we pick donation, then a campaign list turns up. So these guys have just got a test campaign in there at the moment. If I want to add a new campaign, you can see I can just click on the edit campaign list, and I would just do something like a church spire. And that's just now added it to the list. If I clicked update, that would then save to the database, but I don't want to do that for this particular site. But as soon as I put it in that list, then it becomes an option for me to select under the campaign list. Then we have the payment method, and you can see here that if they actually made a payment, we can put in how they made the payment, or I can say not yet received, and that's obviously what's going to be appropriate for this particular type of transaction. And what that does is it sets up in the database 2 years worth of monthly donations, and then those donations only become valid when it ticks over the new month as the activation date is passed. So I could just click send request, and that would actually set that up in the database. So that's how the system acts as a fundraising database. One of the things we're actually working on at the moment, and this is obviously something, Kai, that you'll know about, but I'll just bring across this other screen. I've just got a couple of screen grabs of something we're working on actually literally this week, and this is a screen grab of our actual individual campaign pages. So even though we've got the ability in the system to to track campaign donations within the site, what we're trying to do is create a front-facing display that actually shows the end user the information about the campaign and gives you a portal for each campaign so that you can track all the information. This is just a mock-up, obviously. This is going to be the layout. On the left-hand side here, you can see we're just going to have an editable text area to describe the campaign, then a list of all donations not listed as anonymous, so they'll be able to tag their donation as anonymous if they don't want to be displayed here. A list of all the fundraisers, if applicable. So the idea here is that you can create fundraisers for a particular campaign. Where another client we're working towards creating this for is someone who's doing a bike ride up in Canberra, and so they wanted the individual cyclists to have their own fundraising page within the campaign, and so this will list them all, and then you can go to a sub-campaign page for each of those fundraisers and have specific information on that page. And then we're obviously going to be integrating with Facebook as well, so we're going to want to use the social networks to be able to promote and propagate the campaigns. On the right-hand side here, obviously we've got a little a graphic which is going to show how you're progressing in that campaign, but that is going to be editable. All you need to do is drop any image into that area that you want, and if you give it a transparent background, then the system will automatically show something, going up. So if it was a church spire, for example, you could blank out the centre of the church spire, and the thermometer would then just go up the church spire. So yeah, we're doing that very specifically with the intent of making it nice and interesting and letting you have control on the graphics that are being shown. Then we've got the campaign information being displayed there. You can see the second tab we've got there is campaign administration. That will only be showing for, obviously, administrators, and that's going to be quite a simple area where you can just have a start date, end date, fundraising target, and then you can add and remove the fundraisers specifically, and then the donations made is going to be just a filtered version of the payments table that we showed, which I'll just go back to now. So that'll be a filtered version of this particular table here that's showing only donations for that particular campaign. So that's what we're working on at the moment, and it's something that we're going to be releasing hopefully this week, but if not this week, next week. So that's more specific campaign management, but obviously we have the campaign management built into the system already. Okay, so that's a pretty solid run through of the actual fundraising side of things. And David's just asked a question, will it be possible to have the campaign totals automatically update the thermometer? That's exactly what we're planning on doing, because that thermometer, if what I mentioned, we'll just go back to that image, and where's that image? So campaign landing page. So this thermometer is going to be created by an image with a transparent area, and in this particular thermometer, the transparent area will be the inside of that thermometer. So anything that you create, that red that's going up will be dynamically generated by the system. So it will go up like that for any image that you upload. So it definitely, that's the intent of what we're doing, is to make it completely dynamic, so that every time a donation is made, literally on the spot, you will see the thermometer go up, or the the church spire, or whatever it is that you're using to track that particular campaign. So if we just go back to Hey Liberty now, the we've obviously been creating this fundraising database with the idea of tracking funds, but what we've actually found is that when we've really got going in the creating of this database, we've found some really significant advantages in having a fundraising database that's tied in with the community system. And this is what I was talking about before, in the fact that we're a community, and you're tracking a lot of information about people that's not just to do with whether they make a donation or whether they don't make a donation. We're tracking all sorts of information. So if we actually go through to this tab here, you should all have this tab in your system, but it is in beta at the moment, so if you do notice anything unusual with it, just let us know. But you can see we've got a list here of most engaged users. It says here, by collecting usage statistics from different facilities around the site, then combined as a weighted statistic, Potentiality is now able to show you who your most engaged members are. Sorry, Di has just asked, could the thermometer be used to track the number of users? Di, I'm just going to put your microphone on because I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Hi, Di, are you there?
I'm muted.
Hi, Di, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm meaning if we're not doing a fundraising... Hello?
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay, so don't worry about me, you just go ahead.
Okay, so rather than... Oh, there's the school bell. Rather than measuring the funds that are coming in, could it be used to indicate the number of users who have logged onto the site, or just to indicate...
the participation as opposed to the actual funds.
Yes, that's right.
Yep. Look, certainly, I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, look, that's exactly the kind of feedback we're after. So, yeah, look, we'll look at implementing that now in our first version. Okay, so I'll just chuck you back on mute there, Di. Thanks very much for that. I think that's definitely a very good idea. If anyone else has some good ideas like that, then we'll look at putting that into the development that we're doing right now. So just back onto the engagement statistics. So what we're saying here is that we have a huge variety of information that we're collecting about people. I mean, it's not just if they've made a donation or not. It's events that they've attended, or if they've purchased merchandise, or if they've sent an email, or if they're playing a sports competition, or whatever it might be. That's information that we can track. And the key to this is that there's probably two factors that are going to be of interest when you're looking at targets for fundraising. The first is probably just what their disposable income is. I mean, obviously someone with a larger amount of disposable income is going to be more likely to let go of some of that money. But the second factor is going to be how engaged and how warm they feel towards the association. Now, that feeling of warmth and that engagement in the association is exactly what we're talking about. We're not talking about trying to figure out how much money they have. There are systems out there that can do that with debatable accuracy, but it's really the second figure we're talking about. We're wanting to look at who your most engaged users are, and that is extremely important information when it comes to actually trying to do fundraising. This is the engagement leaderboard for Haileybury College. Not surprisingly, Russell's at the top of the list. He's the executive director of the association, so that's not surprising at all. But as I scroll down here, this is just literally a list of their most engaged alumni. And it's not just a figure that we're just giving to you randomly. This is calculated, and we can actually show you exactly how that calculation is done. So we've got a user here, Lee, from P year 2011. As an administrator, obviously, I can click on View Edit User Details, and I'll just click on that link. And this is a panel that you should have all seen before. So you've got the personal information, the interests. So he's interested in football, golf days, schooling, family, mailing, general, security, further. You've all seen them before. Then we can come down to communications. So this is a log of all the communication that this user has received. I mean, obviously, the main type of communication that they've received is the bulk emails that they send out to their community. So you can see that there was an email sent out about community grants program. If I click this link, that'll actually show me all the recipients for that particular message, and then we've got the read statistics on the right-hand side. So the total number of messages sent. Unknown means the emails that were sent, but not we don't know whether they were read or not, and then the read ones are the ones that we know that actually were read. As we scroll down there, you can see we've got all the logs. This is an interesting one. That's a request for mentoring, and then you can see we can just see everything that's been done. So obviously Russell is the one who's been sending those messages out. That log is not just for emails sent through Potentiality. That is also for text messages as well. And one of the new facilities that we actually have, and I'm just going to switch my screen visibility over to my Outlook. I've just brought up a conversation in Outlook that that has been going on with some people I know who are part of the Melbourne Grammar community, and I've connected my Outlook with the Melbourne Grammar community using the new Potentiality Outlook plugin. Now this is something that most of you probably wouldn't have seen, but you can see down the bottom here we've got PTLY panel. Now this is a connection between Outlook and your private community to make sure that when you're communicating with your community through Outlook, you're still tracking everything within Potentiality. So I can click on a user here, and it then just does a search within Potentiality and then returns the profile of the user that I've clicked on. So you can see that that's David, and this is his profile, and immediately I can see his user profile. I can send him an email within Potentiality. I can view his user details, or I can actually even log into the site as him. As I go down there, if I click on someone who isn't logged in, a member of the community, then that won't appear. Whereas if I pick someone else who is, then that just brings up the new profile. So it's something that just drops in and out of your Outlook when a new message is received and you're communicating with them. If we just go up to the panel up at the top here, and you can see that we've got enabled PTLY, so that's obviously what enables the actual doc, and you can see there that I've just disabled it. But when it's enabled, you can see the options are log this email. So what that means is when you're communicating with the with your alumni, it will then register within the Potentiality communication system. So that's really important. You know, it just means that everything is being tracked within the one facility. You've got insert tracking image, so that will then mean that not only are you communicating with them, but we'll be able to tell you if we can confirm that the message has been read. And the include attachments is something that will actually, because we're tracking the message, and if you include attachments, it means that we're not only tracking the fact that it was sent, but we're keeping the attachments so that you can refer to them at a later point. If we just go down, sorry, David, I didn't actually see your question, but apparently I've answered it. But if we just go back to the communication log, so this is where the where that's all tracked. So everything is being tracked within the one within the one facility. What I might do now is just because there's one other form of communication that's being tracked here. If we just go, this is one of our clients. This is Giggleswick School, and yes, that is the name of a real school, and it's the community for the Giggles Wickians everywhere. This is a school in central England, and they've actually just launched our product as their primary fundraising database. So it's we've probably got 4 or 5 clients now who have now taken on Potentiality as just as a fundraising database, not as a community add-on. And thanks for the feedback, Jenny. And if we just, you can see there that we've imported all their records from their previous fundraising database. So that's just something that we are able to do if people wanted to migrate from another fundraising database. But what I've come through to here is just the regular database search. Again, this is something that you've probably all seen before, but there's a new and I'll just have to log in there, but that we've got a new facility available within the within this tool. So let's say we're sending a letter, so an actual paper letter, and I'm going to send a letter to all the Smiths. So we'll just click search, and you've got draft SMS or email, which you all would have seen before, but down the bottom is a new one, which is paper mail out. So I can just select the recipients and then click on the link. Okay, so this is how you can do a paper mail out within the site. So step one is just to name it, so some fundraising letter, and step two is to select, so you can just browse or upload a letter that you're going to be mail merging with this document. And step three is divided into two. Firstly, you can either use the potentiality mail house. So what that means is that we have the name of the mail out, we have the people that you're wanting to send the mail out to, and we have the letter that you're wanting to mail merge. And you can just tick that box, click send now, and then potentiality will take care of the mailing of your letters. And so obviously if you're receiving a sample, then that you can just make sure it's exactly how you want it to be before it goes out to everyone. Or you can do a manual mail out. So if you select manual mail out, then you can just click create mail out, and that will then give you an export, and you can just mail merge your existing document with the information that you've drawn from the database. So again, that's just all about making sure that every form of communication with your alumni is being tracked within the one system, and that's being shown to you, filtered for this specific user in this list here. Payments. Obviously, this is just, again, a filtered version of that table that we've seen before. Again, I can look at all the information, like the transaction ID, for example. So you can see exactly what this person purchased, when they purchased it, and you can generate a receipt. And this is the really interesting one. This is the engagement timeline. So I mentioned to you guys before that we're rating everyone by their level of engagement. So it's not just a figure that we're giving to you, we're actually showing you their engagement within your community. So you can see across the bottom here we've got 2012, 2013, 2014, and I can just use my mouse wheel to zoom in there, because there's more information if you zoom in, and you can see from September 2012 through to January 2013 all the emails that they received. I mean, emails are considered something that is engaging, but it's obviously not highly engaging. So when we talk about weighting the statistic, received emails are not, or emails they receive are not rated too highly, but obviously something when they're paying for an event is a very high rating for engagement, and so we're making a donation. So we're still collecting donation information, and we're still using donation information, but rather than that being the only thing that you're tracking, you're actually it just becomes one of numerous things which then become information that you can use to identify donors. If I just click on that link, you can see what they actually paid for, so the South Australian Reunion Cocktail event. As I scroll across here, you can see we've got a fantastic collection of information. So you've got registered for another event here, that was the Business Networking Cocktail event. They joined a competition, so that's the Australian Rules Football competition. They joined, they logged in over here. They sent emails over here. Everything is being tracked within the site and then rated accordingly to gauge this user's particular level of engagement. And this is where this gets really interesting, because something like joining a competition would be something that you wouldn't really tie into fundraising. You wouldn't have previously tied into fundraising. But when you look at it in this kind of perspective, it actually becomes very, very interesting information, because if you're wanting to identify donations, donors within your community, you don't necessarily just want to identify those who have donated before, because that's a very, very limited pool. You want to try and donate future donors. And just seeing the fact that they're playing competition within the community not only tells you that they're engaged, but it tells you that they're getting something back. You can also see if someone has has requested mentoring. Again, you're seeing if they're getting something from the community. So it's fair enough to maybe try and imply that they should offer something back. So all of these types of things are very, very interesting when it comes to actually identifying new donors, which is something that I don't think there are many other fundraising databases that actually do that in a very meaningful way. So that's the engagement tracking that we have in the site. So you can really start to get a feel for the fact that it's not just a fundraising database we're talking about here. We're actually connecting the fundraising database with a community, and this is why for schools particularly this then becomes very, very interesting information. Yes, so we've just had a question about Kai about to touch on having separate communities within the system, and yes, that is a very good question. If we just come across to Wesley College, they've recently run a calling campaign with the for their parents, which was a very specific campaign. If we just log in here, so we have calling campaign integration as well into the product, and if I just click on calling campaign, and that's just bringing up the statistics for the campaign that they just ran. So this was run about a month or two ago. I probably shouldn't mention the exact figures that were raised, but it was a very successful campaign. And you can see on the main landing page here we have the different statistics for the callers. I'm not sure if you're all aware of exactly what a calling campaign does, but basically they get the young alumni coming back, and you can see that we've got young leavers, so 2009 leaver, 2012 leaver. These are the callers who are making the calls for the campaign, and we've got some statistics also on their specific success, so you can really get a feel for who the good callers are and who aren't. And with a calling campaign, we'll just go through to the script. So basically they come along and they make calls, and this is the script that they talk through. So we've got a list of the details of the person that they're calling. These are the numbers that they use to call. Obviously with Skype integration it's just click and call. Then they just step through the script. This is just one particular type of script that we have. There's another script that we've actually just recently launched for Siena College, and this was this wasn't necessarily a fundraising campaign. This was actually kind of a data cleansing campaign. And the key here is that you've probably seen calling campaign software before, and they're very much driven by the amount of money, and that's how the companies that run these calling campaigns get their money is a percentage of the money fundraised. So they're very much driven by fundraising. But because this is built into the potentiality product, you can actually run a calling campaign for any reason you want. And so this particular client wanted to do a data cleansing campaign. So when we have a look at the script, it's very much along the lines of, introduce yourself, and we're wanting to update our database. And so if we go through and have a look here, you can see we've got a contact form page which has their existing data, and you can just upload that, and that then just goes, gets stored in the database. And then when we go to step 7, you can see that we can actually update any relationships. So they can find someone and then update that data in the database. So if I click on a new tab, then it gives me a blank tab, and I can just type in a user, and then that fills out the information, and then I can complete that information at that point there. So that's a campaign that they've been running in order to clean their database with the intent of running a future campaign. But with Wesley it was actually with an existing campaign, and it was done specifically to the current parents. You can see that in their system they have alumni, staff, past parents and current parents. So this campaign was run for the current parents, and the callers just stepped through and asked the questions and how they'd like to make payment, and then all that information is then tracked in the database and collected and then provided as a statistic. So that's just a bit of a run through of the fundraising database, how it can be used, some different ways in which you can actually fundraise using Potentiality. That's probably around about half an hour we've gone for, so that would probably be a good time to wrap it up. If there are any other questions, you can just type it into the chat window if you like. I'll just give some time for any questions if you like. I mean, obviously, if you don't want to ask it in this forum, just shoot an email through. You should have my email that I sent out before, and you can just ask me any direct emails. But it seems if there's not any specific questions, so I guess that's a good thing, because it means we've probably covered everything we need to cover. So look, I'll wrap things up there. If you do have any questions, just shoot it through to me via email. But thanks very much for everyone for their time.